Hello, everybody. This is the Helpful Village Release webinar, March 16th. Thank you for joining us today. We have the agenda of the day. So basically, we're going to do some news, reminders, some training and release notes, and then discuss next priorities. So this is the usual schedule. We start with the news. So first thing is that there are new villages that are joining Helpful Village. One of them start
Manuel, you're muted.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Chris, you muted me, I think. Thank you. So a new village in Columbus, Ohio, Upper Arlington, and then another one in Virginia, village neighbors in the Chincoteague Island. I hope I pronounced that right. So welcome to the new villages. I have other news. Is this one that there is, as you probably remember, we had received a fellowship from the American Society on Aging, and they invited me to participate at the conference on aging that they do next month. So I'll be presenting there. I have actually two presentations about villages and basically people attending from the aging industry and the AAAs and professionals in aging. So people will be hearing about villages some more from the conference. If you have any ideas or suggestions about things I should include in my presentation, please send those by email, or just let us know what you think would make more sense to present at that conference. Also wanted to say that people are talking about villages, because there is a couple of articles that went out, which I guess most of you already know about. So there was a New York Times article about villages on Sunday, and there was another article in the Sacramento Bee 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So that's cool that people are talking about villages. That's awesome. By the way, one of the people in the New York Times article is one of the Helpful Village users in Montana. So Jen Prunty, she was explaining things there. So congratulations to her. If she's listening, I don't know, maybe she's in the attendance today. Perfect. So that's for the news. This is a quick reminder about village services. So what villages do, essentially volunteer services, events, check-ins, and village talk. And the pinnacle is health, where basically we're heading. So that's just the general vision of Helpful Village. There's quick reminders here about the next webinars. The next webinar is next week, April 20th. We do the usual time is, no, actually I'm reading them wrong. It's actually the next webinar is March 23rd, which is hosted by V2V. It's a Q&A session that we do next week. So in the release webinars, we usually present kind of new things that we want to talk about. And then the next week is Villages Ask the Question. So if you have questions for this, you will be sending them to Gary, but I know the next slide is going to explain this. The next Helpful Village release webinar, which is about improvements, will be April 20th. There's a few links here for the training docs, the Help Center, and Slack. You should know about all of this. If you don't know about any of this, you should talk to Christina, because these are just reminders. As for the webinar next week, it's a Q&A. So basically, if you can send your questions ahead of time to Gary Frankel, who is in this webinar and is also our national coordinator. He helps, collect and basically coordinate this B2B webinar. Basically, where if we can hear those questions ahead of time, we have time to think and offer better responses. If you send those to Gary, we coordinate with Gary before the webinar. So other than that, if you don't have questions, you can still attend, because there's always interesting stuff that happens there. To contact Gary, you can use this email address, it's hvusers@v2vnetwork.org. So that's also our usual stuff. The reminders about our training docs and the help center that you should be familiar with. If you don't know this page, you should contact Christina, but that's basically what happens under support.helpfulvillage.com. It's a way to find our documentation and also submit requests. When you submit a request and ask a question, maybe the system is going to give you an answer. So that's good. Two ways to get back to us. When it's a bug or a problem, you should contact support.helpfulvillage.com. If it's a new idea or improvement for the software, please do it on ask.helpfulvillage.com. It's also a quick reminder. Okay, so this is now news and releases. So basically, Christina has produced, and Christina and the team produced other help articles that are listed here. So you can search any of these in the support.helpfulvillage.com help center. How to make sure your users are getting your emails. We're going to talk about this today. And then how to add a slideshow to an editable page. I know people were asking for that one. It also exists in the documentation. and how to activate the hub and spoke mode of Helpful Village, which is the possibility for your village to operate by different neighborhoods or towns. The hub and spoke feature needs to be activated, but there is no extra cost. So if you think that applies to you, you can do it. Obviously, if it doesn't, if neighborhoods are not relevant to your village at this point, then don't do it, because let's keep things simple. Okay, training and release notes. So basically, I wanted to let you know that this month we usually have a list of improvements that we announce. We have fewer improvements to announce this month because we have been busy with stuff. So we thought during today's session we would be doing some training and answer to some frequent questions we have received. I also wanted to say that we were not adding more improvements because essentially we were working on the tech side on some changes and fixes that we needed to do after we did the upgrade to the most recent version of Stripe. So the new most recent version of Stripe is more secure. It accepts 3D secure payments and stuff like that. But obviously, when we change things in the platform, you know, sometimes things happen. So I know that we had some payments that got stuck for a little bit. That now during this month we were working to basically unblock, and everything is coming back to normal now with the description. So some of the villages that had issues with that and tickets, they have heard back from us. If you haven't, we are getting back to you. We also added some other tech things that you don't see here, because it's not improvements that you can see, but basically we added more code to detect kind of funny things on Stripe, kind of make sure that all the payments that were made on Stripe are showing on Helpful Village and stuff like that. So we added also some more code that makes, you know, with additional checks on and tests on making sure that the synchronization with Stripe works. So we've been working kind of deep in that side of payment. So we're not presenting it today because it's behind the scenes kind of stuff, but just wanted to let you know that we have been working on that. As for the training, we wanted to, you know, Christina has been receiving some tickets and requests and questions about these topics. So maybe you know this, but I think it's worth repeating this. First question I wanted to discuss, and I want to have this as a conversation. So if anyone has questions, please, you know, definitely unmute yourself and you know, ask questions and stuff like that. But this first topic is about the email reputation and making sure that your emails are receiving the emails, that your users are receiving the emails. So something that can happen sometimes is that people use different email clients. Kind of, some people use Gmail, some other people use, you know, AOL or Yahoo Mail or stuff like that. And then each one of these clients are classifying emails in their different ways. Some of them classify as kind of your inbox, but then classify some others as social, or some others as promotional emails and stuff like that. And we want to discuss with you about this. Christina produced a training document that you will find in the Help Center. So this is a print screen of that article, so you don't need to remember all this. You can look it up later, but I wanted to explain that our system is sending emails essentially from 3 email addresses. That I'm going to explain what those 3 email addresses. One thing that contributes to receiving the email in the inbox and not in the spam folder, and it depends on the email client, but it's adding these email addresses to the contact list of each person. So, you know, basically Gmail and all these email clients are classifying email based on what they know, but they don't know if it's spam or a promotion or something. But if you're in their contact list, they think, oh, if they're in the contact list, it means that the user created them in the contact list, so they really accept this source. So that helps getting messages in your inbox. Now, you should add these 3 email addresses that are listed here, because those are the 3 email addresses we send messages from. One address is village@helpfulvillage.com. So we send email addresses from that address every time there is password instructions or something relative to the creation of the account. So that is one. The second one, email address that we send will be like this: is yourvillage@a.helpfulvillage.com. So this is the email that is being sent for all the individual emails. So those are the emails we send to each individual person, kind of reminders for events, the individual opportunities to volunteer, their invitation to renew membership. All the individual emails come from here. Christina is giving here an example, which is DC Waterfront, which is one of the villages, at a.helpfulvillage.com. For every village, it will be different, right? I know Sausalito is Sausalito at a.helpfulvillage.com. When we send the email, if you open up on Gmail, in the from, it will say the name of your village. But then if you expand that list, it's gonna say the specific email address we're sending from, right? And for each village, we send from a different email address. Now there is a third email address you should invite your users to add to their contact list, right? Is the one that you use for your MailChimp account, right? So you can set up your MailChimp account and you can connect your MailChimp account with Helpful Village. When we do that, we send the emails to groups using your email address. So you can find this email address going to admin settings and the email tabs. I'm going to show this next. And this is for the email from groups. So you can see here, this is where you can find your the email address we're using for MailChimp. If you go to admin settings and then you go into the email tab, down here for the MailChimp configuration, you will see the email that is being used for your village to send the MailChimp messages. So that is one of the three. There's another thing that I would add here, Christina, that you didn't put in the slides, is that you should look at, no, this is, let me go to demo. People management groups. Yeah, if you go to people groups and then tag people, you will see one of the tags are these different MailChimp groups, right? So the MailChimp people that are in our MailChimp, synchronized with our MailChimp list, MailChimp archive, MailChimp cleaned, and then there is HV email bounced, HV email complaint. So bounced, it means that our server trying to send an email to this person, but this email address doesn't exist. Maybe sometimes there is a typo, or maybe, you know, just invented an email address that does not exist. When there is an error, our system is automatically informed that there was a problem delivering that email. We're going to put that in this list, and the people that are on this list of HV email bounced, we are not trying to send them emails again because they have an erroneous email address. Same thing for the other group that is called HV email complaint. This is the people that went to their inboxes and they hit on the this is a spam email message because they don't want to receive email from your village. That can happen. In that case, they will be added into this group. So you can open this group and see who is in there. And then the system will not send them an email while, you know, if people complain, considering your email about a spam. So if someone is not receiving that, you should also, you know, invite them to look in the spam folder, ask them to include the email in the contact list, the 3 emails we said before, and also you should check here HV email complaint, HV email bounced. If it's on any of these lists, we're not even trying to send them an email until you fix the problem. Maybe you correct the typo on their email address, and then once you correct the typo on the email address, so we can do it here. I'm going to show an example of this. I'm going to come into this group, and let's say for Brit Abernathy here, we had a typo on the email address, and then this is, okay, this not, we talked to her on the phone or something, blah. And then let's say that the right email address is like this. And then we come here, we save it. And basically the next thing you need to do is go back to groups, people management groups, and then tag people. And then here you have HV email bounced. And now that we changed the email address, we want to try to start sending email to them again. Wow. She's not in here anymore. Maybe we made it automatic. Let me see. Because we changed the email, I think we removed them from the bounced list. So she's here. Yeah, we unchecked the bounced email for you when we change the email address. So you don't even need to worry about that. We do that automatically. If we change the email address, we're going to try to start sending email to this person again. Okay, next. Well, first I should pause. If you have questions about email deliverability, this is a good time to ask them because we're going to move on to a different topic.
Yes, Manuel, there's a question on the chat. If any of the groups are not there, are they created automatically? I responded that yes.
Yes. Yes, so basically when we send the emails from Helpful Village, right? So our servers are hosted with Amazon Web Services, and we use their email service. When there is a problem delivering the email, someone marks it as spam or is bounced because it doesn't exist or something, or there is a typo. Basically, Amazon informs our server, creates the group, and puts this person in that group. So we take care of that automatically. That's a good question. I know Margie had another question, yeah. But you're muted, I think.
I'm unmuted now. So when you did that with the HV bounced,
yeah,
it automatically unchecked HV bounced.
Yes.
When you change it, does it automatically check the MailChimp so that they're now back on MailChimp?
No. It's not automatically done on MailChimp. So basically, there are two things with MailChimp. Let me go back to the demo side here. If we look at the status here, right? So MailChimp is like, you want this person to, subscribe to your mailing list, so you check this box. If someone contacts the village and they want to be removed, right, from the MailChimp list, you are gonna uncheck this box, right, and then save. When you uncheck this box and save, actually this will become checked, which is MailChimp archived. It means that the person asked the village to be removed, okay? And then in that case, if they contact you again saying, no, actually I asked to be removed, but I want to be back, well, then you check the checkbox again and we take care of that automatically. Now, sometimes something that happens is that the person can come in and there is a link on the mail that allows them to unsubscribe themselves without contacting the email. If they do it themselves, that will notify MailChimp, and also it will be updated here with the MailChimp unsubscribed value here. And then if you want to resubscribe them, well, they need, you need to do something with the application form and stuff like that. But we are not going to change these checkboxes when you check the email address, because that's kind of happened with MailChimp, which is an external system. So we need to do something. We're not doing it automatically. But
okay, thank
you. More of a manual process. It's a great question, Margie. There are any other questions, Chris, on the chat? Yeah.
Yes, there is one more. When do we need to sync with MailChimp?
Yeah. So we do an automatic synchronization first. You can go anytime. You can go first. You can synchronize each person individually here. Let me see. Yeah, you see, for example, for each person on the database where you see something is kind of funny, or the check, I don't know, my checkboxes don't look right or something, you can come individually to each person, and each person has a MailChimp sync link on this area. And then if you click on that button, it's gonna do some work. It's gonna tell me, should have told me that, it's synchronized or something. Now, that's for the person. The other way you need to synchronize, you can go here to people management groups. And then here in the groups, you can go to any of the groups you have, right? For example, it can be drivers or anything, and any of these groups, or actually, let's go back here. I'm gonna do active members. It's a mailing list. Any of these groups you can synchronize manually anytime, right? So you can come here, and then you can say synchronize with MailChimp, click this button, I confirm, I say okay, and then it's gonna synchronize everyone that is on this list. So you can do that anytime. Now, we automatically do this for you every Thursday. Actually, I think it's every Thursday in the earlier morning, where we're synchronizing the active members, the active volunteers, and something else. So you can do it anytime you want during the week, but we'll do it on Thursday for you. Okay. Chris, is there one more, or we keep going?
No, we keep going.
Okay. Next question is, I know Christina has been working with Carquines Village, that I don't know if they're on the call, but we wanted to discuss this with you. It's about the different membership types you can create, right? So usually when we create the platform anew, we give you some default membership types, can be household and individual membership, but then you can create any type of memberships you want, right? And these memberships, you go under admin settings, memberships, and you can create membership types. The membership types, you can give the name you want. It can be individual household, but it can be also, individual VIP, super select whatever name you want to give to the membership. You choose here the number of members, the number of months, the duration of the commitment, and then you can also choose. Some villages tell us they set up, percentage of the membership that is tax deductible. So you can say 60%. Something we're not doing right now, but I think we want to do soon is that the percentage of deductible thing that you have here, that we can use it in the tax deductible letter that we can produce at the beginning of the year. So for now, this is something that is only stored here, but in the future, we will use this value for the tax deductible letter. Now, their membership rights, full and social. Full, you choose for each membership type what rights you give. Basically, the difference that you need full membership to have access to service requests. Some villages give full memberships and social membership. Social is essentially for events and stuff like that, and then full is like, well, they have service requests on top of that. And now the question we were discussing with Jeannie was about this, right? It's like about the payment forms for each membership. And you can have lump sum payments, it's one-time payments that can be a fee. Let's say can be, I don't know, $300 per year. So you would add the value here. And if you want, you can enable monthly payments for the same membership. So, and it doesn't need to be the sum, it doesn't need to be the same amount, because there is additional fees when you pay monthly, because there is much more payments and charges to the credit card and stuff like that. So if this one is 300, we could totally set up a monthly fee of $30, which gives a different total. So, but you choose the fees you want here, and then for every person, you can give them option if they want to pay one or the other. Now, if you're activating the monthly payments, there was this option here we have discussed in the past, but this was the specific discussion with Carquines. So I wanted to clarify or repeat this. And I know Austin, Texas is doing this too. So Capital City Village, and it's basically the fact that you can, if you check this box down here, it's some sort of an eternal membership. What I mean is that some of their members, they say, we want to be with the village for as long as we live. So just keep that. Basically, we want to keep making monthly payments. And then every time I make a monthly payment, it can extend the expiration date by 1 month. You see what I'm saying? So you don't need to do renewals of membership and stuff like that. Every time you receive a monthly payment, well, then the expiration date is extended for you automatically. There was one question that was a good question from Carquines, is that, well, there is an renew notice expiration email that can be sent automatically. If Bonnie from Austin is here, she can confirm, but we should not send a renew notice email if this checkbox is checked. I think we're not sending it. I will double check. If we're sending it, we will not send it anymore. But basically, if you have on a monthly payments that is auto extending the expiration date, there is no need for a renewal notice because you're renewing every month.
That's correct. You do not send it.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you, Bonnie. Because I remember we had discussed about that. So that's the right thing to do. Thank you. Yeah. So we did the smart thing, but not because I thought of it, but because Bonnie thought of it. Perfect. There is other things about membership that you should be aware of, is that when you go to admin settings, membership, you can set up your membership type with the button here. There is a grace period that is important. Basically, the grace period means that this person will be considered an active member for these many days after their expiration date. So if the expiration date was end of February, you can give them an extra month because you know that they're renewing, they just posted the check, is in the mail, they're gonna come in. So you don't want to have them as expired members because they can put the service request or other things. So basically for 30 days, or whatever amount of days you want. You can put this to 0 also, so this is customizable, or you can put 10 days or 30 days, whatever you think. But for this period of time, these people will remain active. Now, if they renew their membership, either themselves or they send the payment to the village for you to renew, we are gonna renew from their expiration date. So what I'm saying is that they are not, saving money for the 30 days, right? So just it's just we're gonna extend the previous expiration date by 1 year most of the time. So it's just flexibility for accommodating the fact that they may be late sending it, but you don't lose any money. Then there are a couple of options here. You can send automatic renewal emails, the display member address in the directory, display member email in the directory if you want, or if you don't want, you can check or uncheck. You want to send automatic renewal emails. I want to say another option here. By default, Helpful Village sends a renewal notice 30 days before the expiration date. Some villages are sending, and this is totally possible. If you want to do this, you can contact Christina. We can set this up for you. You can send a second renew notice that you can create in the email templates. There is actually a field. I'm going to show this. Let's go here. If you go admin settings, and then in settings, you can go to email templates. And then for membership, you have, for example, this invitation to renew your village membership online. You open it up, you can customize your message here with whatever people need to do. They can send a check to this PO box, or they can renew online. And then we're telling them this message where basically these variables will be replaced with their membership type, their expiration date, etc. When we send them the message automatically, some villages ask, and I think it's a great idea, to check if their information on the records is still up to date with emergency contacts, their son, daughter, or people we want to have associated, and then it goes up. Now, what I wanted to see with you here is that if you want to send this email template for renew notice, what you do is you need to come here, email template for Autotask, and say, hey, there's a renew notice. This is the renew notice I want to use 30 days before something. And then if you want to send a second message, we have villages that send kind of on the day of the expiration or even after the expiration date. They set up a different message, which uses this renew notice too. So you would create a different email template and you put this key here. And then you just need to tell us, okay, we want to send this second renew notice at whatever time works for you. See what I'm saying? If you want to send it, 1 day after expiration, or 7 days, or 14 days after, or 30 days after, we can totally do that. And actually, it's not even only 2. We have one village that is sending their renew notice 1 30 days before, and the renew notice 2 kind of 14 days after the expiration date and 30 days after expiration. So we can send this email several times if you want. Just need to hear from you if you want to activate the second one. The first one is already working. The second one, we need to activate that one for you. But you can create it, get it ready here, and we will activate kind of the scheduler for you. Okay.
Manuel, can you stop there just a moment, please?
Yes. And we're gonna switch to a different topic. So definitely we need to take all the questions now. Yeah.
Yes. Just for the renew notice, just to say that you have to submit a ticket to support.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And then there are some questions from Georgetown. Please, Lynn or Vanita, if you can't jump in.
Sure. Yeah, I'm jumping in. Thanks. So my question is on the payments. You offer the opportunity for a full payment or a monthly payment. I have somebody that pays quarterly. How can you indicate a partial payment without having to put it in each time? Because then we don't know how much is still owed. So if there's a way to indicate, for example, if your dues are $600 and somebody sends you $300, you should be able to put in that you received a $300 payment, and it would show a balance outstanding of $300. Currently, there's no way to do that on this system.
Okay, so for me, what you do is here, right? Now, if you look at my screen, actually, I was working on this one today. So basically you have this membership, right? And then you can set up what I did here. I have the monthly payments that are set up where basically this person is paying monthly. I can stop the monthly payments with you. Okay, let's go back in. So basically here are the default payment options, right? You're gonna have the pay for membership is a one-time payment with a full fee, the monthly payments where you set up the monthly fees if they have been set up for this membership type, right? So let me show this quickly here. And I know, Lynn, that your question is beyond this, but I need to do this reminder first. If you click on the one-time payment, it's going to set the amount, and you cannot edit it. You cannot change it because we do it on purpose so that basically we have the correct membership fees. If you do the monthly payments, kind of similar, you just come here, configure the monthly payments, and then the amount is also coming here from the membership type definition that we did before. In this case, it's $20. You can choose the membership type, the membership method you want to use. If you want to use the card on file, if you want to enter a new credit card,
Right,
or if you
right.
want to have the credit card, the bank payment, which is the cheaper option. Now, your question is, okay, we don't want to use any of the two standard payment methods, right? So in that case, you need to go to the pay tab of this person, and I would enter a new payment. And this is kind of more free form kind of payment. So you can always come here and say,
So,
partial.
Manuel, I understand that, and I've done that. My question is, by doing that, then it's not possible for me to look in quickly and say to the person, oh yeah, I received this check, you still owe X amount. Is there any way that it can be built into the system? And this goes for donations too. You know, if I have somebody giving me a $1,200 pledge and they pay $600 and then another $300 in a couple of months and another $300, there's no way other than me going back and having to look at the different payments to tell them what they still owe on their pledge.
Yes. So for me, though that's interesting, Lynn. For me, it's two different topics, right? I know they're similar, but you know, sometimes for programming purposes, we need to separate problems to solve one after the other. So I would say for the donation aspect, we will get back to you because we are discussing and collecting some feedback about improving the donor management. I know we have a meeting this afternoon with one of the villages. So the pledge idea is something that I take note of that. And I think that's interesting. So, you know, I don't have a solution right now, but we're thinking about that and working on that. So the pledge, I'll get back to you. Now, the membership payment thing is like, there's this other report that is really important, right? Which is like, you go here, reports, reporting docs. And then there is the missing membership payment. So when you do that, right, this gives you a spreadsheet file with the people that owe money to the village, right? And then basically we can do this if the monthly payments are activated. We're going to calculate, okay, if this person pays every 12th of the month and he's paying every 12th, if we expect that he's going to keep paying the 12th of the month until the expiration date, he doesn't owe anything. He's on a right payment schedule. And the same thing for the one-time payment. What it does is that it's going to compare here. You go back to Barak on the membership tab. Is the difference between the expiration date and the paid until date. Are you familiar with this? So basically, I can explain for the new villages anyway. So you have this is a membership tab, right? So this person is a member, is an active member that has a membership type of this. It's a primary member. The member since is really easy. It's what's the first day of membership of this person? Okay, that's good. And then the expiration date is the last date of the commitment. So if this person, committed himself or herself for 1 year, well, this will be a year from now, right? Now, actually, I should create a new person. Let me create a new person and start over because it's easier to explain these dates with an example. So this is
okay, Manuel. While you're creating the person, feel free to keep typing.
Yes.
I feel like, and I understand what you're saying. And yes, I could pull a report, and yes, I could go in and I could figure it out. And I'm a social worker. I'm not a programmer. I have no idea what difficulty is involved in having to change this. What I do know is that when I get a phone call from somebody and they say, oh, could you tell me how much I owe? That if I start telling them, well, I have to download this record and then sort it and then get to you and then tell you what you owe, or give me a minute and I'll add it up, that's not so helpful.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking there should be, used to, there should be a way just to have partial payments.
Yes.
And, I know it's different between donations and membership fees. On the other hand, it's the same kind of issue.
Sure. Let's try together to see if we find a solution for that, right? So I was doing this quickly at the same time. I created a new person and I created a membership. Just 2 clicks, right? So we have the new active member. You can choose the membership type. It's an individual member. That looks good. because he's a member since today by default, right? And he's gonna be a member for the next year. So these are the default. You can change this, right? But most of the case, in most cases, it's kind of the right dates. If you want to change this for the 1st of March, you can. 1st of March, you can. Now, when you create this, right, there's these fields where basically this person expiration date is 23. These are members since 16th of March 22, and then the paid until date means that we have not received any payment for this membership. You see here, because it's paid until the join date. When you do a one-time payment for this person, okay, the first option of payment for membership, what we're gonna do is we're gonna change automatically this date for you, and it's gonna be the same as the expiration date. You see what I'm saying? Because they paid. So you can, if they did a one-time payment, you just open up the record and see, okay, you don't owe anything because I see your expiration date is this one and it's the exact same thing as the paid until date, right? If you do the monthly payments, every time we receive a successful monthly payment, right? We are connected with Stripe, so Stripe is going to record the payment in our payment tab, etc. And we're going to move this paid until date by 1 month every time we receive a monthly payment. That happens
Right,
automatically.
I got
okay?
that.
Now, in this case, if we do the partial payment, right? Let's try this. This is a partial membership payment. And let's say that you received, I don't know, 60. And then this is something that I received by a check or whatever other method, right? So we received the check today, and then this check number, and then I save it. So we receive this payment. Now, this is a manual way. So basically, we record the payment is here, but obviously the member tab, the member dates have not moved because they haven't, right? We don't know what this partial payment is for. But you can come here and say, okay, if this is a payment for 3 months, I can come here and say, okay, the join date was 3 months, was, the paid until date is until 16th of March. You now paid for 3 months. This is going to be paid until the 16th of June 22. And then if you save this information, right, this is recorded. So now if you have Luke that is calling you on the phone, like, hey, I made a payment, just want to make sure how far am I with my payments and stuff like that. Well, you can open their pay tab, right, and see, okay, well, what we have is that you have paid for one trimester. You paid for 3 months, so you need to pay for the other 9. So you get this information from here, right? And then obviously you can check on the pay tab record because you don't remember and say, oh, we received a payment for $60 on this date. And that's why the paid until date takes that into account. Obviously, it's a manual process, but it has to be a manual process if you're doing a kind of,
Except
any kind of partial amount.
I understand, but
Mhm.
what I'm saying is that it shouldn't be a manual process and that there should be a way. And honestly, I have never had a member call and say, when am I paid till? Members call, they assume it's an annual membership and they say,
Yeah.
what do we still owe you?
Yeah.
So, that's the reality. Those are the phone calls we're getting. And, there used to be a way in the other system in Club Express that we could actually be able to say, you still owe X. And here I can do the math. I have a calculator, but the question is, it would be a lot simpler to be able to just pull it up on the screen and be able to show the partial payments. And that goes for pledges too. I know donations and membership are two separate modules, but the issue in my mind is the same one. And I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want to take up everybody's time on this. I just would like you to think about it. I see a couple of other comments that people also would like the idea. I have submitted as a suggested improvement, but I haven't heard back. And so I'm bringing it to you as perhaps something you should think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I take the comment. So it's interesting. See what I'm saying? We could definitely, we're going to give it some thought so that we can have some sort of a kind of an object here where it's not only the payment, but it's also kind of an owing note. Like saying this person owes this much money. This is what you're saying, right?
Right, a partial payment, so you've paid, the bill is 600 and you've paid 300 and it shows outstanding balance $300, and that's
yeah. So how would you call it? It's kind of an expected payment or missing payment?
Outstanding balance.
Outstanding.
I mean, in our village, people are joining for the year, and this is, the cost for the year, and they're paying it as they pay it.
Okay. Yes.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for sharing, Lynn. We need to think about that. We definitely we're working on a similar idea with the pledges for donations, and we can certainly expand it to payments. So I think it makes a lot of sense what you said.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn. Chris, you had other things coming
Yeah.
from the chat?
I think
Or-
there's a second question from Vanita from Georgetown.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if Vanita can jump in.
Hi, Manuel, how are you?
Hi, Vernita. Doing all right?
I have a question about membership. You were showing how you can extend the grace period. In doing so, how do you extend the grace period? We currently at Georgetown Village have our grace period set for 1 year because there are times where a member will forget to mail in the
Sure.
payment.
Yeah.
And we don't want them expired. They are a founding
Mhm.
member. We know that they're gonna, send in their payment.
Yeah.
But, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, I've extended the grace period by a year, but I still get a notification that the membership has expired, and it also auto expires the membership.
Yeah.
So without having to manually add, say, 10 more days onto their membership and then go back
Sure.
with the original membership expiration
Yes,
date, how do I do that?
I like the question, Vernita, because it needs some explanation. So well, first, let me show here how to set up the grace period, which I know you already have set up, but for other villages, right? So if you go settings, and then in settings, you go to membership, here is where you can choose, 31 days, 60 days, and it can be any number. So if you want to have 2 months, 60 days, 90 days, can be any number here. So I know you already set this up and then you save it. So that's good. Now, what happens with a member, right? And we can have a look here. And I'm going to change his membership dates for this example. So basically here, if we say that he signed up in 3/16/21 and his expiration date was 3/15/22. So basically this person now, if I save it, and this is 3/21 also, so that all our numbers work well. Okay, so this person is saved. Member since 3/16/21, 3/15/22. And then basically it is now an expired person. Yeah, so now what happens here is that the person's status will show expired. I mean, the system on the day after the expiration date. So basically this happens overnight, right? So overnight, we're gonna go through the list of all active members, and we're gonna see, hey, if we are beyond the expiration date, right, we're gonna change the status automatically of this member from active to expired. So now I did it manually, right? Because we didn't wait overnight, but overnight this happens automatically. Kind of the people whose expiration date is in the past, they go from active to expired. Now, because you have your grace period, right? Even though their status is expired, they still have all the same access. You see this orange dot here? It means they are in the grace period. So they can log into the system, they can put in service requests, you can create service requests for them. So even though it says expired here, if you see the orange light here, it shows that they are in the grace period, so they can keep using the software. The exact same thing, and they're considered as active members. See what I'm saying?
I understand, but when I pull a report,
Yes.
those members who have expired don't show on that report. Although the system considers them active when they're in the yellow, in the yellow,
Yeah.
and it allows them to request services. If I'm
Yes.
pulling a report of active members, somehow the system sees them as expired
So-
and they won't show on the report.
We should double check that with you, but they should show in the report, in the active members report, with a status as expired. So, we cannot double check with you, but we can double check with you kind of this afternoon. They should be showing in the report.
They
The
are
active member.
showing in the report.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
Mhm.
They do show in the report
Yeah.
as expired.
Yeah, but we are happy to double check that with you, Vernita, this afternoon. So Christina, if you
you.
can take note, you can pull the active member report and just make sure that all the people that are expired in the expiration date on the but in the grace period, they show in the active members, which it should be the case as some villages were saying, and it's how it should work, but we will double check specifically for the Georgetown to make sure
Thank
everything is all right. So what I'm saying is that for the grace period, you don't need to change any of the expiration date or paid until date. You leave this the same, and then the status here will show expired. You have the orange light, it means they're in the grace period. So whenever they make their payment, you do the normal payment that will extend the payment. So you don't need to add a week or 2 weeks here or change the status or something. It's totally fine if they are showing as expired here and the grace period showing with the orange dot.
Okay.
Perfect. But thank you for the question, because it's a good question. Sometimes people get have questions about saying, oh, it shows expired, but it's a grace period, but that's totally normal. Their expiration, the membership expired. Anyways, good question. Let's move on. And I'm looking at this here because time is coming up. So I just want to make sure that we have time to discuss these things. So the next thing I want to show actually is about the prospect process. And I need to explain a few things here. So let me open up the demo site. So if you look at this person, right? This is person Luke Smith. One of the tabs is actually the prospect tab. And you can create this information for them. Sometimes this information is created automatically. If you have a person that is registering for an event calendar, kind of an event on your calendar, and is not a member, we will create this task for you. And then you can say, well, you can choose here how likely is this person to join. So the rating is an A+. It's a person that that you're super sure that they want to sign up. And basically C here would mean a prospect that I barely heard what the village concept is. They don't know if they want to be joining or not joining. So this is a person that is not very interested. This is a person that is medium interested. There is a person that is interested. This is a person that is very interested. So you can choose that rating, and it's obviously subjective, right? But it's good. You can say here, where are they at? So they want to join, and how did we hear about them? Is a third party recommend or just person that came through the web? You can make some comments here. It's like, look, is Manuel Acevedo's friend. So some notes that can be useful to you. You save this, and then once you save, you can create a new task. So basically, it's what do you want to do with this person, right? And then you can assign this to a person. So for example, I can say here that Christina is in charge of the recruitment of this person. We can see the notes and the info that I just asked. And basically here I can decide, Christina can do it for herself, right? Or I can do it for her. So basically, can you call this person about membership benefits? And then you say here, these prospect that we're recruiting for different things. Actually, it doesn't only need to be a new member, but if you're recruiting people to be a volunteer, this would be a task as a volunteer prospect, or a donor prospect, or an unqualified prospect, or a new member or renew member. You can also use this as a renew member task. If you want to call them to make sure they want to renew their membership, you can create them also in this category. In this case, it's going to be a new member, just because I want to do this like this. We can give some time to Christina to do this task. So basically here by default, we're applying 1 month, but you can change this. You say, well, if you can call this person before the 9th, it would be good. This is a task that is open. And then you can write some more tasks here. It's like Luke came to the village party with Manuel last week. Or whatever other notes you think may be useful for Christina or for myself for the next time I call. When you create this task, it's going to be showing now in the prospect tab of this person, right? So Luke Smith is Manuel Acevedo's friend. We have an upcoming task, something we need to do. So in September, no, it's 9th of April. They have a European moment there for a second, and then what we want to do is like call this person about membership benefits, and then there is a comment and stuff like that. So and then here you have other lists. So basically it's other tasks that have been completed in the past, and then other suspended tasks is tasks that we were supposed to do but we never did because we're busy with other things. But it's kind of, you can keep track of tasks that you wanted to do and you never did. Now if I want to do this task, right, one thing I can do is I can come here and imagine that I'm actually making this phone call now. I can come here and say, okay, now I am completing this task now, and this task was completed today. And I spent 20 minutes, and this is what happened, right? So, so basically Manuel call and made chatted with Luke about something. And then just save this. So now this task is being completed. And I can create a new task, right? So it says, save, please schedule next task action. So this person didn't sign up for membership because they were not ready, right? But I did call today. So we're gonna have that record there, and I can create another task, which is like, make a second phone call to discuss why Manuel joined as a member. And then still as a new member tab, this is something we're gonna do, let's say before April 14th, it's open. There's task, like we already had one call. The second one is to confirm Luke is ready to join as a member, or whatever applies in this case. You can save this. So now that we did this, we're going to look at Luke's kind of profile again, right? And what I wanted to show you here is that there is a completed task that we did today, right? Because Manuel called and chatted with Luke about something. And then there is an upcoming task that we want to do before April 14th, okay? And so basically it's what we have done and what we need to do in the future. You can create more other tasks, right? Because maybe you want to recruit them as a new member prospect, but you can also recruit them at the same time as a donor, maybe if you want to, right? You choose whatever applies here. So you create these tasks for each person. And then the other thing that is really important with the prospects module is that you need to go to the admin, people management, all the way up here on the top. This is prospects to-do list, which is basically everything that needs to be done for recruiting. So if you select this, you have this list. And then basically here you can sort this list of all the different prospecting tasks that we have in the system. So for every person in the database, and basically here you can sort this list, right? You can, if you know the person, right? It's like, oh, I'm looking for Luke. Oops, search. So there you go. So we got the 3 prospect tasks that we had: Luke Fish, Craig Kerluke, and Luke Smith, which is the one I was doing, right? So this is, we're looking for a person specifically. If we're not looking for a person specifically, I can show you a few other things. So you can filter this list by other things. Kind of, you can say, okay, I want to see the prospects that kind of are prospective donors because I'm in charge of fundraising, or I want to see all the prospects that we are renewing their membership, or those that are doing the new membership. So you can do this, and this is going to filter the list with only the prospect task for new membership, as you can see here. You have the possibility here to filter the people that are interested. For example, something I would do, rather than calling Debbie that is mildly interested in becoming a member, I would always start with basically sorting this list. Broke. Some had some sort of problem, but basically what I was saying is that you can order this list, and I'll check what happened there. But basically, it's gonna order this list so that you can see the prospects that are new members that are super interested in becoming a member. So those would be easy to catch. So you want to have them done first in your list. So this is how you process this list of prospects. There's another thing I need to show you about this, and then I know we're almost at the top of the hour, so it's gonna just take an additional minute. If we go to groups, you will see here different type of groups that you have: check-ins, interest groups. So this is the Village Talk groups, it's the mailing list, tag people, village builders, volunteer services. But basically here in the mailing list, if you go here, these are automatic mailing lists that are done for you from Helpful Village based on the data in the system. So here, for example, you have the list of active members. You don't need to add people or remove people from this list, because we can do this for you based on the expiration dates they have, okay? Same thing for this list, where you have at the same time the active members and active volunteers. Here you have the active volunteers, you have all prospects, and then you have these other groups that I wanted to show you is prospective members, prospective renewals, prospective volunteers, and prospective donors. I don't know if I repeated one, but basically prospective members, if you come in here, you see there's 36 people here. And And then if I search Luke, you see Luke Smith that we just added. The person is added to this group just if there is an open task for this person in this category, right? So you don't need to add people to this list, and you can synchronize this with MailChimp. So this is the next thing you do. Because then you probably want to send if you want to send a specific group email to your prospective donors or your prospective new members, etc., you can synchronize this with MailChimp and use the email messenger to send them a specific email to them. But then what I wanted to say is that the people in this group is not something where you add or remove people. The people in this list depends on people that have open prospective tasks, right? So if for example, Luke became a member, he's no longer a prospective member or anything. Well, then basically you set his prospective task to complete it, and that's it. He will automatically disappear from this list. So you don't need to add or remove people to the prospective list. It works based on the information on their prospect tab. If they have open tasks in this category, they are a prospective new member. Okay, so with that, and now I'm gonna pause because it's 1:01. I can stay for a few more minutes to see if we have questions about this prospects process or comments. We can do all of that, but
Yes, there are.
Yeah, perfect. So
You know,
I don't know.
from Northern Colombia, maybe if you want to jump in and give your feedback.
Mhm.
Oh, we use this a lot, and it helps with catching people who fall through the cracks.
Mhm.
And so we find this extremely useful. And also we use it, we have a volunteer coordinator, member coordinator, the president, me. So by having all this information in the system, we can see exactly what's going on with that person. So this is a great, useful tool. The only problem I have with it is that when someone doesn't renew their membership, it automatically hits the prospect list. Great. Then what happens is that the person may send in their check and now they're a member. It doesn't automatically take them off the prospect list. So it requires an extra step to go and double check and see if they've paid and if they're okay. And then we have to go in and delete it. That's the only, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but that's the only thing that, we have to walk through that process. And we've set out that process with everybody, and it really does work.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Great. I love that feedback. First, that you find it useful and it's helping you. I like how sometimes I explain something and one of our villages just defines it better than I can. Because you said it perfectly. Like, it's exactly for that, for people that follow through the cracks. You see what I'm saying? This person that said, "Oh, I love this concert. I would like to be a member," and they say that during a party. You see what I'm saying? And then it's like, and then we don't want you to kind of keep that in your mind where you need to remember, "Oh, I need to call that lady. Remember, I need to find it," because we don't want people just remembering on that. You just want to make a note on the system saying, "Okay, it's here. This lady was interested, so I'm just gonna put a prospect task. It takes 2 clicks, and then I can forget about it because I can always look it up in the system. It's gonna remind me who I need to call." So it's exactly for that, for the people that follow through the cracks. The other thing that you said, I think is also super important, is that it's not only one person. When you have multiple people that are following up on the same person, you don't want to have them, receiving 3 phone calls from 3 different people that don't know what this is about, because then it doesn't look very coordinated or organized. So if you use the module, you can see, okay, oh, I see the president called last week, and she wrote a note, but I can comment on that she spoke to the president. We can look great as an organization saying, well, basically we know the last contact we had with you. Now, for what you're saying, the fact that we basically, when someone expires, we automatically create this task for the renew membership task. And that's great because that helps you follow up. And we never thought of removing that task once we have an active membership. But you know what? It's easy for us to do so, because if they have an active membership and payments and stuff like that, we should be able to close that prospect task automatically. It doesn't make sense. If they're now a member, why would we leave a task there? So we take note of that one. And when I say we, Cristina is going to take note of that one. And it's an easy improvement that we're happy to add to the system. So that was great.
I know that the time, but just a last question is if it is possible to send an email notification when we assign a task to a person.
Yeah, definitely. So that definitely that we need to. So we are definitely thinking about this generalization of reminders and tasks. So we can. There are two things. First, when we're assigning to this person, I think it makes sense to let them know that they're assigned to that. And second, we could do some sort of a reminder because the prospect tasks are there, but we are not reminding people about those tasks. Which is people need to go into the prospects module and look up, oh, what can be done? What could I do and stuff like that. But we're not, if there is an assigned person, maybe we could send a reminder email. So those two are good ones, Chris. We can write them down as improvements. So those are interesting. Okay, next thing is Christina said it was the last question. So, but I wanted to let everyone know that we will be back next week. So we have a Q&A specific. So if there are other questions that could not be answered today, please send them to Gary. Chris, if you can type the email address, I can do it in the chat. I think this is it. Maybe I did it wrong. Is it the right email address? I think the right email address. So you can send that to Gary. Gary helps us organize and coordinate the questions, and we will be happy to study and have good answers for you next week when we meet on this in this event we do with B2B. Okay, perfect. So other than that, it was great seeing you all. And then I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again next week. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Manuel.
Thank you.